So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Purdue Black Cultural Center Virtual Learning Circle. Delighted to be here with Sharon Ross, the Afrovivalist, a tenured expert in the skills of survivalism and preparedness. Tonight's workshop is going to be about 45-minute presentation, and we're going to do it a little differently this evening. Because this is kind of a learn as you go, the Afrovivalist is going to share a booklet that you all should have received in your email. And you're welcome to ask questions as we go along. You can unmute yourself. We've given you all that privilege in this space. We just ask that if you have a lot of background noise that you remind yourselves to mute if you're not speaking. If you don't feel comfortable asking a question aloud, feel free to put that in the chat, and I'll facilitate that Q&A after the presentation concludes. So a quick kind of rundown of who this expert is with us today. I'm delighted. I've now sat in on one of her workshops and it's just amazing. But Sharon Ross is a huntress and urban survivalist who grew up in Southern Oregon. She comes from a military family. Her father was a Marine and taught her how to fight and use knives to protect herself. Her family grew up homesteading, and if you aren't familiar with homesteading, we'll put some information in the chat and in the follow-up link after today's event about what that means. But she's very skilled and knowledgeable about living and working with and on the land. A pretty cool anecdote that I like to share that she shared with me is that growing up, she can't remember going to a grocery store. And I think that speaks wonders to how amenable and reliable it is to grow what you need and to work with what you have. So her family was able to do virtually everything they needed to do on their land, just homesteading. So that's amazing to me. So I'll hand it over to the Afrovivalist to lead us and guide us along.
Hi, I'm Sharon, aka Afrovivalist, the huntress and urban survivalist. My passion is to share the importance of being prepared, in addition to living off grid and things like that. So it's a big spectrum. But today we're going to utilize the 12 steps to help you prepare for the next COVID phase, which is very important. It's just around the corner, and we're going to be going through winter seasons. So one thing I would ask, if you are not too shy, can I please see your face? Because as you start asking questions, I would like to see you instead of names. So please, thank you. Thank you. It's so much better doing presentations instead of names. I like seeing faces. So thank you so much. So this booklet, I'm not going to be able to get through to it all. I'll try to leave out, a lot of my personal stuff unless you ask me about it, and then I will go ahead and ask you the questions, answer the questions. But feel free to chime in whenever you have any questions. I hope you had the time to look over the booklet, the guide. And we're going to start with your activity 1. So,
and would you like to share your screen, Sharon?
Oh, yes. Thank you. That would be good. All right. You see that? Perfect. Is that big enough?
That's great.
Okay, because my screen just went, your screen just went down. I don't know how to move it out. Okay, anyway. So let's talk about, a lot of people that I run in contact to always say, Sharon, if I were to start preparing for the disaster or what's to come, I don't even know where to start, okay? And I usually start out telling those folks, determine what disaster is in your area. If you're in a hurricane, earthquake, flood zone, anything like that, start off with that knowledge of knowing, okay, I'm going to prepare for earthquake. Here on the Pacific Northwest, we have a 9 point that is supposed to be here years ago. So we are preparing for that just in case. And so that's the good place to start, is with your disaster area, and then determine what to do. And this guide has pretty much some good steps on what to do with that in your area with flooding. Right now I'm on page 3, on page 4, with your flooding, with earthquake, with tornadoes. Go through those steps to help you. We just went through a really bad forest fire. I bugged out of the city and went to my bug out spot, and then had to bug out of my bug out spot because of the forest fire. Was not planned for that one. So, so just make sure you've got a plan for, plan A, plan B, and plan C, okay? Activity 2 is also important, because if you are evacuating or your family is scattered throughout the city, you want to make sure that you have someone to contact that will able to let you know if your children are okay. So say you're at work and everybody's out and the disaster happens. You want to make sure you have an out of city or out of area, preferably a state outside the state, and have that person be a contact person, and everyone in your family is to contact them and to either give them their status. That way, when you call in to that person, you'll know the situation of your family members, okay? And what I've done is I've taken a 4x5 card and then put all this information in there and then added to it. So my daughter has cerebral palsy. So I put, she's, her condition of cerebral palsy, and, a brief description of what could happen while, she's down, like seizures and stuff. Also any special medications that they needed, if she needs an inhaler or, things like that. That's the stuff you want to add to this card. And then put it in your everyday carry, which we'll get to later. That way, if someone runs across your book bag or whatever it is that you carry, they can see all the pertinent information that they need to be able to contact someone, maybe what your blood type is, and different things that's customize the card that will help someone save a life, okay, or get them home. Activity 3, enable to survive. Water is life. We cannot go 3 days without water. So we want to make sure that you store water, and then when you think you got enough water, store some more, okay? You need 1 gallon per person per day, which is a lot of water. So what I've done in the past is, whenever I've seen water going on sale by the case, maybe that day, if I've got $5 on me, maybe it's $1.99 or whatever, and I got $10 on me, I'll go ahead and buy, 5 of those, 1 for each family member. And then give them that case and have them put it under their bed or wherever it may be. And only go to that water when it's very, very necessary and needed, okay? If you don't have, say you run out of water, this form here will also tell you how to purify water. So there's many ways to purify water and to store water. And the main thing with storing water is you want to make sure it's in a dark, cold climate, dark, cool climate, okay? You don't want to put it in the sun, especially with the water bottles. The water bottles will seep those chemicals from the bottle into your water. So make sure, if you've got it in your car, that the water isn't sitting in the sun, okay? Or if it's in your trunk, that the trunk is, 10 degrees hotter than outside. You want to make sure of that, because you're putting those impurities into your water. One good way to treat your water is with straight liquid bleach. Now, when I say straight liquid bleach, I mean the unscented bleach. You don't want to use scented bleach to purify your water. That's just giving you one extra ingredient that you don't need to be drinking, okay? And you would take 8 drops per 2-liter gallons or 16 drops per gallon of water into your water that you want to purify it. And from there, you can drink it. But what I do, in addition to that, if I'm in a situation that I have fire, I'm also going to boil that water and then let it cool down, and then it's drinkable too. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. Activity 4 is the grab and go kit, which I call it the, I should have called it the everyday carry, because we as women, oh, that's a good stretch. We as women, we have everyday carries every day, but we call it a purse. So what I've done is I've eliminated my purse, and now I just have a cute little, fashion backpack. And in that backpack, I have everything that I need just in case something goes down. So I have some granola bars, some dehydrated fruits, some nuts, some water, a pair of socks, because now it's getting cold. So now I've taken all of my summer things out of my bag and put winter items in there. So I've got a pair of socks, a pair of gloves, and a hat in there, along with anything else that I may need, my medications. I've got a little wallet that's in there. So all of that. So now instead of a traditional purse, I just carry around a backpack that has all my survival gear in it. But when you're at home, you want to make sure that you also store your food in your pantry. So for me, what I did was we had one linen closet that really wasn't really anything. So what I did is took over that linen closet and turned it into a pantry. And in that pantry is where my stored foods are. And I like that area because it was away from the furnace. So it's not generating the heat, and it's nice and cool, and it stays dark, and the kids really don't get into that cabinet. So that was a good thing. You want to remember that when you're out shopping for canned foods to go in your pantry. Let's see. I don't have an example. Maybe I do. Hang on. Do not buy cans that have the tab lids on them. Okay, when you're out there buying canned foods, don't buy the ones with the tabs. And the reason why I say that is because if you're stacking these on top of each other, this seal that's on that can of food can possibly break, and you will never know that it was broken, but it will cause botulism. So you want to make sure it's a sealed can. So I always tell everyone, if you buy the cans that have the tab lids, those are the ones that you're going to eat first. And like I do, I put them in my kitchen. And I don't put them in the pantry. I buy the traditional old school can that you've got to open with the can opener, okay? And that lasts the longest. That will last years. They've found cans, tin cans for years, and the food was fine. So think about that when you're putting together your pantry and your emergency kit. Get a tub like what's on the screen and start just slowly putting things in it. And for me, what I did, I've got a family of 4. I went out and bought tubs like this, and each one was hygiene, one was medication, another one was like toiletries or something. For instance, I went out to the store and bought this. Can you see that? And this is all medications. And a majority of this came from one trip because it was on sale for under $2. So I grabbed everything that was in there that I felt I needed for my emergency kit. And what I did was over time, just dropped them in here. And then now it's full, okay? So you don't have to do it all at once when you're preparing. All you would need to do is every time that you're out and about and you see a sale that's something you know that you and your family are going to need, go ahead and purchase that, bring it home and put it in your bin. And as time goes by, you will be real surprised on how much you've saved up or how much you've stored in your bins. This one is my hygiene. This has got, I've got toothbrush holders in here. There's 30 toothbrushes, 15 things of toothpaste, 3 packs of baby wipes, some hand sanitizer, and some Mo stuff down in there. And that is, you know, for brushing your teeth, just in general hygiene. That's what under my list. And after a while, you'll realize, oh my gosh, my bucket is full. And you want to label it and put that bucket aside and don't go into it until you need it. Especially, you know, things like the hygiene stuff. If you're in your house, you already have that stuff. You've got running water. So don't go into your storage bins and utilizing those, because you will get mad at yourself when you open it up and it's, you know, half used. All right.
Sharon, there's a good question. It says, how often do you go through your medicines to make sure they're not expired?
Well, not too often, because we rotate them out. So we literally, what's in here is all 2019, 2020 medications. So I have another bin like this that is 17 and 18. And so we are using the 17 and 18 bin. Gotcha. And which is fine. It's not that old where it's not effective anymore. It's still effective. That's what we do in my house. So we kind of rotate these out. So these bins that I just showed you, they have a label on it. They will have a label on it that says 2020 hygiene or 2020 medication. Okay. Any more questions?
There's one that says, doesn't water go bad or stale?
Okay. Water does not go bad ever, ever, ever. Okay. Water will go stale. Water can get contaminated, but water does not go bad. Just because your water is flat does not mean it's bad. All you need to do is take 2 containers and put the air back into the water. Okay, aerate it, and it'll be back up to speed. Water does not go bad.
Perfect.
It's a forever item, just like honey. Honey is a forever item. What's the other one? There is, I can't think about it. Can't think. But yes, water, just what I do if I know that I'm drinking something. For me, what I do, if the water is 5 years old, I'll aerate that. But if it's only a year or 2 old, I'm not going to aerate it. I'm just going to drink it. Okay. But with the waters that are 5 years or more, you want to make sure to aerate. Okay. And it all depends on what the package it's in. You can go on these emergency sites and get the water pouches. Those are in Mylar bags, and Mylar bags don't get heat to them or nothing. It protects them. Those pouches can last up to 25 years. If, you know, of course, don't open it. But they're storage wise, they're saying those can last up to 25 years. But in the water bottles themselves, the clean ones, they're not going to. You want to go ahead and utilize those bottles first before you utilize anything else. It's all, if you're storing water, I would say to use glass more than plastic. I mean, glass is heavy, but if you're in one central area, if you're going to be sheltering in place, then you'll probably be fine having your glass, you know, water containers. Okay. Any other questions?
Looks like that's it.
Then make sure to put together your emergency kit, your first aid kit, and put that in your pantry. That way you'll have all the items you need just in case. Okay. I gave you a short-term and a long-term goal for you to do. This is an activity that you can start today, tomorrow, do once a month or once a week. I'm talking too fast. I'm trying to get through a lot. So do this at your pace, and please, please, please do not overwhelm yourself with it. Go at your pace. All right. When I started, I was gung-ho and I about broke myself. So don't go out and spend a lot of money unless you need it. Also, don't forget about your tools on any special items, extra glasses. I don't wear glasses, but now my doctor said I have to wear reading glasses. So he told me the percentage of it, and I went out and bought 5 pairs of reading glasses for $1. And they are now in my pack, in my bug out kit, or my bag, emergency kit. Okay. So I have a pair in each one. So think of things like that. Spread them out, buy more than one, because I don't know about you, I've dropped and sat on these things, and thank goodness it was convenient just to go to the dollar store and pay another $1 for one. So I wasn't too mad. So put everything you need, and make sure when you have your bin, your personal bin, so every family should have a personal bin, all right? And make sure that every season you switch out that bin. So now we're going into winter time. Make sure there's winter clothes in there. Make sure there is raincoats, your rain gear, everything like that that's pertaining to winter. Since you're in your area, you know best what you can pack in your kits, okay? So be aware of that. Gather up your documents and place them on either a drive or create a binder. I created a binder because having that little drive card, yeah, I'm gonna lose it. So I'm not even gonna even try that. Hope one day, if we're without electricity, hopefully when Google comes back up, then I can go into my Google Drive and get everything. But for now, it's on paper. So I created a binder, that has all of the deeds, the car stuff, and my financial papers, my will, the property documents, all of that stuff, photos of each person in the family, photo of my dog, all of his information, you want to put in there. Okay. Any questions before I go to 6? Am I going too fast? Okay, so now we're going into the extended event supplies, meaning, if we have to shelter in place again and we can't go to the store, you want to make sure that you have things there that you can be able to utilize when you're stuck at home, or when the electricity goes down, who knows, you want to make sure you have it. Choosing comfort over inconvenience. Home is always comfort. Make sure that you have everything in the home that you would need. And so cooking wise, if phase 2 happens and we have electricity, then great. You don't have to worry too much about having your cooking supplies. But if the grid does go down, you want to make sure that you've got some camping supplies, meaning a camp stove or outside grill. You have some extra propane, maybe have some solar lights, your cups, your plates, everything that you would need to utilize outside, as you were having an outside barbecue. Same thing, just make sure you have extras sitting around, so that if something does happen, you can be able to utilize that in your backyard. And then start accumulating your supplies. Like I said earlier, when it comes to your supplies, don't forget about your lighting. I put solar in there. We have a headlamp in each one, because having a headlamp on allows you to use your hands. So, if you've got to fight somebody or run or whatever, you're not holding it. It's already on your head, and you can see where you're going from there much better than having to be like this. Um, some of us here in Portland may find ourselves camping in our backyard, because if this earthquake does happen, a lot of these houses are going to fall and they're going to be condemned. And so some people may find themselves sheltering in their backyard. And that's where the camp equipment comes in again. So you would have a tent, you would have your sleeping bag, some extra blankets, rain gear, all that stuff you would need as if you were camping, but you're in your backyard. So at least you're home, right? You don't have to go too far. And when the lights go out, I know some of this is this part is going to be, obvious, but when the lights go out, do not open that refrigerator. If you need something in there, do it quickly, because as soon as that cold air goes out, all your food is going to go bad. Okay. You want to, when in doubt, throw the food out. If you have no electricities for 5, 6, 10 hours, take a sniff to it and smell it. And if you're not worthy of trying to eat it and get sick, throw it away. All right. Whew. Sanitation. So sheltering in place, hopefully we'll have electricity. So we won't have to worry about, sanitation. But in the case that you are in your backyard and your home is condemned, you want to make, where'd it go? You want to have a poop and pee bucket. Okay, real simple. Poop goes in here. Pee goes in here, right? And inside this bucket, I've got toilet paper, paper towels, baby wipes, sanitation pads, soap, everything in here that would pertain to go into the bathroom. And I also have extra garbage bags down in the bottom, because for the poop bucket, you don't want to have to mess with it with your hands. So when you poop in it, you just wrap that up and go toss it out. Okay. With the pee bucket, you can just go water some plants with that. But you want to make sure that the poop bucket is protected and that, it's not getting messy, because you don't want to get dysentery and end up getting sick from the poop. All right. Okay. So also, don't forget about your pets. My pet has his own bug out bag and I make him carry it. His food is heavy and I don't need additional weight on my back. And one day I was out practicing and had the backpack and said, come on. And I looked down and it dawned on me, why are you not carrying something? So the next day I went to Goodwill and found a doggy pack. And now he hates it. He hates his walks sometimes because he has to wear it. So, I just tell him, hey, practice him for bug out. Any questions?
Says, about how many buckets of stuff do you have? Curious about how much space is necessary.
Okay, how many buckets do I have and what?
How much space is necessary? I think that's relative,
Well, it all depends on where you are going to, you've decided to put your pantry. I have too many buckets. I don't know. I lost count. I don't know. For real. I just don't know. But you want to have a space. Let's see. That's a good question. I've never been asked that, how many buckets I have. Usually people ask how many years of food do I have, and then I still can't tell them. So, but when it comes to your space, make sure, that you can be able to put, a stack on stack on stack of buckets. Usually they're heavy enough where they can take the weight. The lids can take the weight. All right. And then stack them easily. If you can find things like this, I found this at a storage container place, and this is all of my bouillon. So in essence, all of my seasoning, okay? And, you know, as I'm in the store, I found them at one time was 25 cents. So I bought $1 worth, $2 worth. And every time I came back, I just put it in this bin. And then when it fills up, I put it aside. The same thing for your dried foods. You know, you want to get your noodles. There's some noodles down in there. There's top ramen. And I have some dehydrated food in here, noodles that I did myself. So you want to find good containers I'm digressing off of the list, but when it comes to food, you want to make sure to go out and get dehydrated food, because canned food is really, really heavy, okay? It's 8 pounds per gallon. So, and then you're adding in the tin, which is not that heavy, but it replaces dehydrated food will replace your canned food. And the only reason I say that is canned food is in the poundage, dried food is ounces. So you can take a pound of food and say dehydrate that, and that'll be reduced to ounces. Okay, so think about dehydrated food. I do have, I can't get it. I have a site called Thrive Life Food /Afrovivalist. And when I started, can you put that in the
In the chat?
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Thrive Life.
That was thrivelife.com /Afrovivalist. And that'll pop up my screen. When I determined that canned food was really heavy, because after picking up boxes and boxes of canned food, that was not my deal. I started doing some research and ran across Thrive Life Food and placed an order, and I really liked the food. So now I'm a representative of Thrive Life Food, and I'm glad I did make that transition, because now I can make meals in a Ziploc bag. Take a Ziploc bag and put your meal in it, you know, your dehydrated food in it. When you get to another destination, put that in a bowl and put some hot water on that bad boy, wait a half an hour, and you're ready to eat. You got 1.5 pounds of food right there. So I really, really like the fact that I went out and switched from canned food to dehydrated foods. And if you have the time, go out and learn how to dehydrate. It's amazing how you can go spend, you know, I don't know, $60, I think now, for a small dehydrator, and go and get your fresh produce. And all it is your time, because in 24 hours, your food is dried, and it's saving you money. A lot of the stuff that I have in my house, like I accumulate onions and potatoes. So instead of, you know, throwing them out, what I do is I process them and then put them on my dehydrator, and that's also stored in containers like what I've shown you, and in buckets. So, but that's a whole nother session. I can tell you guys more about that later. Make sure you've got all your emergency phone numbers on that 4x5 card that we spoke earlier, because whoever's reading that card, your child or whoever, may need to know where to find, you know, your local fire department or whatever that's in their area. Okay. And I mentioned this before about putting your items under your bed. Myself and my kids have a small box that has shoes, a hard hat, headlamp, some gloves, because now it's wintertime, some peanut butter snack foods, and some other items underneath their bed. So if something happens, they know they can jump out of bed, put those shoes on, put that hat on, grab a jacket. They might be in their pajamas, but grab a jacket and in that box or bag and then leave. Okay. Sometimes I just tell them just to grab the box and go, and they can put the clothes on after they leave the house, instead of trying to put on your shoes and clothes, while something is going on in your house. Just grab the box and go. All right. They don't like it when I have fire drills at my house. I don't know if a lot of you are in homes, but this is talking about utility safety. Know where your shutoff valves are around your house. Find out where it is and how to use it and how to turn it off. If you don't know, go ahead and contact your electric company, your gas company, and just ask them. I have a 4-in-1 tool right here. I went out and purchased this at Ace Hardware, and it's got a gas, a water, and I think gas and water are the same thing. Notches here that you can help turn off and turn on your gas and your water. Okay. Know where your electrical panels are, and then know how to shut off your water. Now, do not shut off anything unless it's a disaster, because if you shut it off and it's a oops, I shouldn't have did that, you're going to be charged by the utility company to come back out and turn it back on. Okay. I'm sure we all know about drop, cover, and hold on, right? Earthquake. I'm going to zip through that one. Fire safety. Like I was saying earlier, my home, I do regular monthly fire drills or disaster drills or whatever. I may come up with some silly scenario. You want to make sure that you have a fire extinguisher in your home, especially in your kitchen, and then maybe somewhere, halfway in between the rooms of your house. Position them properly. Create a plan and start practicing more fire safety and knowing the drills. And one thing that I did with the kids was I gave them a graded sheet, with all the squares through it, graph sheet with all the squares through it, and asked them one day to draw out the floor plan of the house. And they didn't know it. I mean, they forgot like a closet or the door or, or something like that. So that's a good drill to do, to be able to place that in their mind on if something happens, they know in their head, because they've already drew it out. And once it's accurate, then they will lean upon their memory on getting out of the home. Okay. And then teach everyone how to use the fire extinguisher. That is a good thing to learn. I did not know how to use a fire extinguisher until I was like 45. So I do know. And this pretty much goes over and shows you how to do the pass on using the fire extinguisher. You're going to pull the plug. You're going to, let's see, what's it say? P, pull the pin, aim. A is aim for the base. S is squeeze. And another S is sweep. A lot of people, what they do when they put out the fire, they aim towards the smoke instead of where the flames are. So you want to aim toward the base of the fire to be able to put the fire out. That's my dog. Sorry about that. When it comes to sheltering in place, that's the easiest thing to do. Especially if your home is, not damaged or anything like that. It's in your comforts of your home. I don't have too much to say about that, but if you are in a situation where, you have someone in your home that has COVID and you have to put them in a decontamination room, this is a good map to show you how to do that. It gives you step-by-step instructions on what to do. This is also the same procedure that you would need if there was a radioactive disaster. You would have a contamination room and a decontamination room. Unfortunately, I don't have the decontamination map in here, and I will have to put that in here. But in essence, you know, you clean yourself up before you go into the contamination room. I have Tyvek suits for everybody, and you know, the gloves, the booties, the hats, all that for everyone, just in case we have to utilize one of the rooms in my house as a contamination room. Okay. So this is pretty much the same procedure. You know, you want to seal off everything where air would be going in. Okay. Then I'm at 12. I'm doing good. Then we have the home hazards. Walk around your house and determine what's going to fall on your head if there's an earthquake, or if there's a tornado or something. If there's anything in the way that may fall off, make sure that your bookshelves are clamped to the wall. Any swinging lamps are noted, and when you do have a situation, you know, to avoid that. Any cabinets, you want to make sure they have the locks on them, and any poisonous materials you just want to set to the side. OMG, I can't believe I did that. Y'all, I was talking. Okay, and then here's notes. Then you will notice at the back of your guide, it has a help and an okay. So if you are sheltered in place, say something went down and you're injured, you want to put the help sign in your front window. That way, first responders or your neighborhood response team will be able to come and assist you. And then, of course, if you're okay, either don't put anything in the window, or you can put this okay sign in your window, letting people know, your neighbors know that you're okay. All right. That is it of my presentation. I can't believe I did that so fast.
That was great. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. I think that's my fastest time.
And you were worried you wouldn't be able to get through it all.
Yeah, I was worried. But I just don't like to go too fast because I want to make sure I get everyone's questions, you know?
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of time for questions, right?
Yeah, now we can open it up to the
Cool.
chat. Or
this is my favorite part.
Just kind of popcorn out your questions. You all have the ability to unmute yourselves.
Come on. I know y'all got questions.
Hello.
I know you do.
I have a question. I'm sorry I can't go on video because my internet connection is not very good. So I apologize. But I want to know, what are you doing for you and your family to prepare in the next few weeks and after the election? What protections are you taking care? Things like that.
So what we have, to be honest, we kind of saw this coming, this Corona thing, because we watch foreign affairs and all the time. And so we knew something was up in China. And so we have been, myself personally, I've been preparing for the last 10 years. So you can imagine how much crap I've got. And what I'm doing now is, since this coronavirus has hit, I'm more stocking medications, PPEs right now, because what people don't understand is, if we all go into this second phase and we have another lockdown, remember when people were running for toilet paper? Well, they're going to be running for medication, because everyone's in the winter season. So they're going to have this double whammy we're going to have the double whammy of having the flu pandemic, the flu out there, and then the coronavirus. So I feel there will be a shortage of cold remedies out there. So that's one thing that I've done. I also have hooked up a water barrel to my home. So I collect water from the roof of my house, and then utilize that, purify that, and use it in the house. I have rabbits in my backyard and a honey bucket that is disguised. So if I had to shelter here and something went wrong with the sewer system, I had somewhere to poo. So yeah, what else? Firearms training, buying a lot of bullets, and just going out and refreshing my memory on firearms and even my archery training. Thanks for the question. I hope I answered it all.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Sylvia. I know Denise gave like a brief overview of like your background, but was there any one particular situation or set of series of events that caused you to dive deeper into this survivalist, Afrovivalist lifestyle?
Yeah, it was called Katrina, Hurricane Katrina. Seeing how people had a warning that, you know, the tornado or hurricane was coming and didn't do anything was heartbreaking to see. And I told myself that day that that wasn't going to be me. And so I literally started looking through my cabinets and started putting dried foods everywhere. And after the end of the day, I ended up with, well, at the end of the day, I realized I was already a food hoarder, because just removing and checking, doing inventory in my kitchen, I have a 5-gallon bucket of rice, a 5-gallon bucket of beans, and 5-gallon bucket of noodles already. So I was like, okay, what is this? And so I didn't know what this all was called and why I was doing this until that show Doomsday Prepper came on. And I was like, that's what I am, a prepper. So yeah, so when Katrina came around, and then, you know, every single disaster after that, you know, you could see that the community of color was the last people to get supplies. So it dawned on me that our government is not going to protect we the people. So we have to protect ourselves, and we have to have that life insurance on us, and which means we have to be responsible for ourselves and our family, because I don't know about y'all, I don't know about this government we got going on, but you know, either way it goes, you know, I think we all need to be prepared. Talking about this election, I am a little bit fearful that things are going to be crazy, because I do live in Portland, Oregon, and these folks up here are crazy. Okay? Downright crazy. Give them an excuse to be mad at something, and they're going to. So here in Portland, I'm not even going to be in town. I'm leaving November 2nd, and I'm going to go utilize a friend's cabin that is a mile from my own cabin, from my own property, and just go sit up there for a while until come back home. I'm like, I'm not even gonna be stressed out with that. I don't want to. So I, thank goodness, have the luxury of being able to have a bug out location. And I would encourage everyone to start getting out there and finding, now that coronavirus has happened, a lot of the properties are going up, but I purchased 20 acres. Actually, I have 100 acres total, but when I started, it was 20 acres for $20,000. Owner carried the contract, and I pay less than $200 a month. It can happen. So don't, if you want a person like me who wants property, don't tell yourself it can't happen, because it just can. Because I thought that was too good to be true. So I let it sit there for a month and then went back. God said, go back and look, and it was still there. And I bought it. And then 2 years later, I bought 4 more lots. So I just made my priority. I don't go out clubbing anymore. I don't go out to restaurants anymore. I'm too old for that anyway. Don't go out to restaurants, you know, all the stuff that I used to do. I'm like, nope, that's about $200 right there. Okay, that pays for that lot, you know. So think about things like that. Any other questions?
Hi, this is Danielle. I just want to talk a little bit about, I'm from Louisiana. I live right outside of New Orleans, and I was there during Katrina. And so I just want to, you know, I really love what you said about the food. you don't want to have to live off of MREs. So, you know, when our food ran out, I wasn't in New Orleans, so we weren't underwater, thankfully. Or, you know, I wasn't stranded at the convention center. But
thank goodness.
But yeah, you want to have food choices. I was without power for 3 months. So, you know, because all resources were basically trying to save people. So, you know, that wasn't a priority. Yeah. So I am definitely, you know, we used to do our hurricane packs that you normally would do. But yeah, I don't live, you know, I'm here in Indiana now. So, but I still, when I see extra lamps and sterno candles and things like that, and I'm nowhere near a hurricane, I still hoard that stuff. I keep lots of supplies because once you have been through something like that, you never forget it. And you don't ever want to be stranded. Yeah, so don't, you know, we're good for a few days, but you know, even if you're not in the storm, like we weren't in the city, everything was devastated around it. There was no grocery stores, there was no gas, you know, for like 3 states, the length of 3 states. So
wow,
everybody's displaced. So you don't really think about, yeah, you know, I might not be on my rooftop, but you know, there's nothing because all the mail came through New Orleans. We didn't have mail for 9 months. You know, you got to think about stuff like that. You think about like if you're with, you know, if your distribution network is destroyed, that you don't even have basics. So yeah, just everybody think about that.
Well, thank you for that. That is, I'm glad that you and your family are safe, and thank you for those tips, because I think I don't know what I would do in that situation, you know, and not have supplies. So you're doing what's that?
It's very hard to get through those first few weeks without electricity, especially, you know, you grew up here in this culture where we have everything. I mean, it is, you know, landlines. I think I don't have a landline now, but we had a landline, of course. I was living at home, and that was the only communication we had. We had no idea what was happening. I happened to get a phone call, like all the cell towers were gone. And somebody out of state called me and was like, New Orleans is gone. So, you know, I was like, oh my God. I found out people calling us.
You will find out that during a disaster like what you just said, people, you can call out to another state, but you can't get any calls out in the city. So that's where that contact information comes in. And then anybody out of the state, your contact person, as time goes by, they can contact you, and you'll be able to most likely get that call, just like Danielle just said. So, and another thing is too, is don't forget, especially if you have kids, you know, don't forget your games and your entertainment stuff. You know, it gets really, really boring sitting in the dark underneath candlelight, you know, especially when you don't have anything to do. So pack some games. I think I have like 20 packs of cards. Who needs that many? But I got them. You know, just to play different things, you know, so don't forget that part. And when you're packing your supplies, especially your food, don't forget your sweets. Don't forget your coffee. Don't forget your teas, you know, things like that, because those are going to be treats for you during those times. Hi, Danny.
Thank you so much. We have just a couple of minutes left before we have to hop off, and our link is going to expire. But one, just thank you for sharing all of your wisdom. This was amazing. Of course, you know, we have 1,000 questions. We couldn't get through them all today if we wanted to. And simmer in the bounty of information that you've given us. But Sharon has left her information in the chat. If you scroll up, you'll see how to reach her on Instagram or her website, her email. We will also follow up with an email to all of the participants with a link for the recording. We'll share out the resource packet again. And feel free to reach out to her directly if you have follow-up questions once you have time to dive into the packet. There's a lot of great information in there. So thank you
And
very
I
much.
would encourage you guys to utilize it, start doing an activity, and that's going to help you. And by the end of that activity, you'll have your emergency kits and everything, started.
Yeah.
Okay. And then another thing before I forget, DCAMP, DECAMP outdoors is a camp that I'm having online, and that is full survival. It used to be a camp that was outdoors, and since COVID, we've made it online. So what we're going to be doing on that link on Facebook, DeCamp Outdoors, is every week we're giving a skill or a tip for everyone to do.
Perfect. Yeah. And I'll put that link in the email to all of the registrants as well. So see, just so much information, so many things that are useful and helpful. But before we run out of time, I want to make sure that all of our guests know, one, thank you for joining us at the Purdue BCC Virtual Learning Circle. We're trying our hardest to provide programming in this time of us being physically distant from one another, to remain socially connected to one another. And so we hope that these programs are useful. We have 2 more coming up. We have an exhibition in our building, Celebrate People's History, that will be opening at the start of November. We have one that's closing called Traveling Mercies. If you aren't able to make it to the center, that's okay. We have a virtual tour for that's available. You can find that on our Instagram. We have a virtual research tour. The BCC typically does a research tour every year. Because we're not allowed to travel right now, we are doing one that is virtual. It's amazing. The lineup is great. It starts on the 26th. It's going to run the entire week. We have the mayor of Puerto Rico talking to us as a keynote. We have plena classes. We have cooking classes. We have something fantastic happening for you every day. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, feel free to reach out to us. Email is bcc@purdue.edu, or you can find us on Instagram or Facebook, Purdue_BCC. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. And again, if you have any questions, I'll stay here for a bit, but you're welcome to sign off at your leisure.